let's talk about internships. Why do we bother with them? What is this about? How do we find the right one? Well, let's start by talking about what an internship actually is. So a lot of times I think we think that internship is purely about employment, but it's still an academic experience. It's not a job per se. It's an academic sort of hybrid work world experience, an academic experience designed to provide students with opportunities to apply and develop skills and knowledge while exploring specific career interests. An internship should feel like professional work. It should feel like a job, but at the same time, it should also allow you to explore some things and really help you sort of decide whether the type of work you're doing in an internship is something you want to continue doing in the professional world. Sometimes students will go into an internship and decide, because of that internship, I don't want to do a specific type of work. I had an accounting major recently tell me that because of their summer internship, they never want to deal with taxes ever again or do tax preparation. So that was a good experience for them, just for the knowledge to know that that's not something they want to pursue as an accountant. A lot of accounting folks go into that realm. So remember, an internship is an academic experience. It's directly tied to your learning here at the university and to your academic department. And we're going to talk about how the academic department is integral to this whole thing. So why do we spend so much time emphasizing and talking about internships? Because we do this a lot. You hear about them at every university. They're sort of talked about as essential to preparing you for what's next in the professional world. Well, you obviously get experience through an internship. It's going to give you some professional experience in an office, in a company, in a situation where you're doing some things that look a lot like what you might be doing in a career one day, but you're also going to be doing some networking and building a lot of relationships through that, both through the employer you're working for and maybe clients and employers that you encounter as a part of that experience. You're going to hopefully be mentored in those situations, in those experiences, that you're getting some direct oversight where another person, another professional who has some years and experience on you can develop you and help you sort of grow and develop specific skills that align with the knowledge that you're taking from the classroom and apply them in the work situation, regardless of field, regardless of industry. You're going to get on-the-job training. I mean, that's part of it. You'll learn how to do some things. You may learn new softwares, new approaches to the way that work is done in that particular environment. Some of you, for the first time, will be learning how to do professional work and how to act and think and dress professionally and have some training for that experience. Some of you may get some very specific training that'll help you further your chances at getting a job either through that employer or through the industry that you're going to go work in. I mean, obviously it provides practice for some of those things. And the great thing about that practice is it's a safe place to practice. Think of the internship as that sort of safety net under the high wire that you can go out and attempt some things with oversight, knowing that you may miss some things, you may mess up at times, make some mistakes. But again, this is practice for the real world. So there's a safety net there, and there's enough cautionary things to keep you from doing anything major that would be a major blunder. But obviously the practice is to help you grow with some coaching and become better at those things that you'll need in the employment world. And for a lot of Gardner-Webb students, internships produce future employment. Not only for the fact they're preparing you for the employment world, but a lot of times the internship jobs turn into one. We just had a great story this week. Michaela Fuster interned with a company called The Hartford, which does some sort of high-end insurance. And she was a data analyst for them over the summer as an intern, and they offered her a job, and she'll start in December when she graduates. And so that happens so commonly for a lot of Gardner-Webb students. So again, we want to take those internship experiences very seriously and performing them very well, because again, these could lead to future employment, and that's the goal. So all of us at Gardner-Webb, regardless of major, have to do what we call a professional readiness experience. And this is something that's a degree requirement. You're going to want to make sure that you understand what this is, either from your faculty advisor or your general advisor in the Advising Center in Tucker. But everybody at the university has to do something that fits the professional readiness experience requirement, the PRE, which is, again, built into your major and your program to really give you an opportunity to make sure you're getting professional experience and preparation for the work world while you're here. Well, for a lot of students, the internship experience in their major will meet this requirement. So you're not taking a specific class, you're signing up for an internship that meets the PRE designation. Not every major that's true, but in many that's true. So you want to make sure that at some point you make sure in your degree evaluation that your PRE is being met either through an internship you're taking or a particular course you registered for through your major. Just so you know, most Gardner-Webb students are going to do an internship to meet this. So here's the big question. How do we find an internship, and not just any internship, but the right internship, an internship that aligns with my major and my credit hours and the academic requirements that I need to meet, but also how do we find one that aligns with our skill set and can help us sort of open up that professional world and be the opportunity we need, the foot in the door, so to speak, to move into what's next for us after graduation. So we want to not just find an internship, not any internship, but the right internship. So here's an outline of the process for Gardner-Webb students. And this is a process you should follow. If you come to our office to talk about internships, we walk you through this process. If you meet with your advisor, they'll be walking you through this process. Here's how you search for and land an internship through Gardner-Webb. We're going to talk about each of these, but you meet with your faculty advisor, and we'll talk about what that means. You're going to determine your credit hours and your degree requirements with that advisor, because that's their role to make sure that you get the right thing that meets all those requirements. They are also there to help vet your skill set and align you with the right opportunities. You're going to search, and some of you, it's going to be an easy search because your department's going to have a pipeline that sort of says, well, when this person vacates this internship, we'd like for you to be the next person to take that spot. And we'll talk about how that works. But you're going to also learn some search strategies here that you'll use in the future, because this is the best practice you will ever have for the job search. Searching for an internship is real life, and we want to give you the best practice we possibly can, because this is a skill you're going to use from now on. There's going to be a set of resources I'm going to share with you that'll help you do that search and how you make sure that you're doing it the right way and have the tools at your disposal. At some point in that process, you're going to start applying for, and eventually you'll accept an internship position. And some things we've got to remember before we accept those internship positions. And obviously, when you start this internship, we want you to do well. We want you to thrive, but we want you to be so good they can't ignore you. And hopefully they'll offer you a job one day as a result of that experience. So again, take the search process very seriously, because again, this is how you learn to search effectively for jobs. And you're going to use that in that senior year as you're preparing to leave the university. If you are an international student, you do have to go to the International Student Services office before you can pursue an internship, because of the paperwork involved with having a work visa in the United States. There is some formalities that we have to make sure that international students meet. So just a note there. So let's talk about step one in the search process. This is the essential step, the key step. Meeting with your faculty advisor is extremely, extremely important. You have to meet with your faculty advisor to start this process. They play an integral role in this thing, and here's why. Number one resource for internships, because they know where students have already been interning in their major for years. And so I mentioned earlier this idea that a lot of these departments have created pipelines to help students find the right internship. An internship that's already been approved, that aligns their skill set as their major, that's something that the employer has had a relationship with the university through for a while. So many of you will have internships through your department that are already set up, that they know a student may have done it this semester, and that student will be finished in, let's say, December, and now they're going to need somebody new in January to fill that spot, or over the summer, and you want to be able to be that person to fill that spot. So many of your faculty advisors have those relationships, and your department has a list of those. You want to always start there to make that search process easier, because again, that faculty advisor is going to have to vet you for the skill set they need. They're going to have to decide, do you have what it takes to be in this role? And they're going to also be the one that approves your credit hours, and that this meets your requirement, whether it's for your PRE or something else in your major. So business majors especially, this is extremely important. Start with your faculty. Communications majors have had a great pipeline for years through Dr. Carey and some other faculty over there who really set up just a web of great internship opportunities that students can step right into. You want to ask your faculty to connect with those opportunities and help you figure out which one best fits you. Who better to do that than you and your faculty advisor, because they know your skill set, they've seen your work, they know your work ethic, and you should have a great relationship with that person. And this process sort of forces you to make sure that you're using them in that process as a mentor, as an advisor. You may want to sort of ask around in your department too, and be aware of students that are currently or previously serving in internships, because your faculty will know of some of these, and you may have already gotten some intel from somebody that says this would be a great experience for you, and I'm vacating that next semester, you should take that. So that's that idea of these pipelines that, again, only your faculty often have access to. A lot of internships are not advertised. We'll talk about how we search for those that are, but a lot are not, because they know colleges and universities regularly provide those to employers, and employers don't need to go through the advertising process for them. So find out what other students' experiences were like. Not every internship is right for everyone else, so it's good for you to ask either through your advisor or as you ask some of those other students in your major, hey, what was it like when you interned at this particular company? Are there things I should think about? Does this sound like an internship I would be interested in? Every time our office, so we're the CPPD, the Center for Personal and Professional Development, every time we get a new opportunity in, we share that aligns with your major. We share it directly with your academic advisor in your department or your dean to make sure that you have access to it quickly. So we don't just stick these on a website somewhere and hope that you find them one day. We share them directly with your advisor so that they can share them with you. So you want to make sure that you're always staying tuned for new opportunities. And some of you may do more than one internship. That's very common at Gardner-Webb for students in business and in some other relative fields to do more than one internship. With your faculty advisor, it's very important that you determine the number of credit hours you're going to earn credit for through that experience and that it meets your degree requirements. This is something that can only be done through your faculty department. And I tell students to get this in writing. Make sure you get this in an email. So the faculty is going to work with you to decide how many hours of work in an internship per week over a set amount of time equals a set amount of credit hours you'll earn for that. And this can be variable in some departments. You might could earn from 3 to 6 credit hours doing an internship. Other departments, it could be a set number that it's always the same. You want to make sure you understand this and that you also understand in writing what's expected of you, how many hours a week you're supposed to work in that internship, and how you'll log those hours. And again, most departments have a contract they use with the employer and the student. It's a 3-signature contract: student, employer, and faculty member signs to sort of signify and authorize that you're going to be doing these set things. And that way you have clear expectations up front to make sure that those are something you all agreed upon. So there's no bait and switch there. But again, you want to make sure you understand those things up front and how long the duration this is. Is it a whole semester? Is it something you have to do over 3 months of a summer? How that's going to work. So again, you want to make sure you do this and that you get registered for the right course. In most departments, you can't just go out as a student and register for an internship course. You have to be put in that course by a faculty member, and they do that through the registrar's office. So again, making sure that's done and you see that it shows up on your degree evaluation after you've been registered for it. Double check that. Really, really important. So some things to think about when you're talking about credit hours and degree requirements. Make sure that you know whether or not you're required to do an internship. I say many, but few majors now don't have these required, but many students still do them because they know that they're important for moving into that work world, and that's extremely important for a lot of the experiences that they've not been able to get thus far. So I think you want to make sure that you know if it's meeting something in your department as well as your PRE requirement. We already talked about the credit hours and making sure that, but if you don't have a particular course in your major that meets the PRE, there's a few majors that don't, you might want to do an internship still, and you can for credit or for meeting the degree requirement. It won't give you credit hours, but it'll meet the degree requirement for the PRE, and that's PREX 405. You can check with my office and your academic advisor about that option if you need that, but that's if you don't have an internship built into your program. You need to also think about when you're determining which internship's right for you and when you want to do it, when is the best time in your 4 years at Gardner-Webb to do that, and where are you going to live when you do it? Is it something you're going to do while you're in school here at Gardner-Webb, or is it something you're going to do after you graduate? Not after you graduate, but over the summer when you are living somewhere else. So again, that will also set a course for how you search. And so let's talk about that search process. So again, some of you may go straight to your faculty and they say, here's the list of internships that we want you to choose from. And you can apply to these, and let's help you find the right one there. You'll have some departments that sort of micromanage that. Others may say, well, we want you to search and find one. And if you go out and search and find one, then you bring it back to your department and they have to approve it and decide how you get credit for it and those sort of things. So how do we begin that search? Because some of us may have to do that. And again, this is great practice for the job search. Well, you always start your search with the right tools. You need a great resume. Our office can always help you develop that, so don't hesitate to ask us to do that. You can just email us for an appointment. It's very easy to do. But you need a network of people, and we're going to talk about who that network could be and how you decide who to network with when you're looking for an internship. At some point, you're probably going to have to interview because, again, even if a faculty member says, hey, here's a great internship for you, I want you to apply for this, that employer is probably still going to interview you. That it's not going to just be because your faculty member suggested it. So you want to make sure that you've prepared for those interviews. We have a great tool that you can prepare on your own for interviews, practicing interviews, called Big Interview. It's out on our website. I can send you information about that if you email me about it. But we also let you come into our office and practice interviewing with us. And at times we do mock interviews with outside employers, so you can practice with folks from the real world, the outside of the university world. So again, make sure you're practicing and preparing for interviewing as a part of this. That'll be such great practice for when you are in the job search. Your professional image is important here too. Now, our office can do things like make a professional image headshot for you that you can use on LinkedIn and those kind of things. And LinkedIn's part of that networking that you're going to want to do. LinkedIn's also a great place to search for internships. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But your professional image also has to do with how you maybe manage your social media and how you portray yourself online. So you want to start with, during the internship search process, you've got to make sure you're portraying yourself as a professional. Because if you're not, an employer, and I guarantee employers do this, they look you up on Facebook, they look you up on Instagram, they look at your online profile to see what you are like in real life. And if it's not an image that conveys what they hope to convey from an employee, they're probably not going to choose you. So you want to make sure that professional image has been conveyed well. You also want to make sure you've got a professional sounding voicemail and a professional looking email address, because you're going to use both of those in the search process. And that's really important. There are lots of search resources we're going to talk about here in just a second, but I want to make sure that you understand what these are. So again, these tools are vital. Our office can help you with all of them. So how do you search? How do you get out and sort of start searching for an internship? Well, you want to determine when and where generally you hope to intern. Now, I don't mean just which company, but also when you're going to do this in the timeline of 4 years at Gardner-Webb, and where you're going to live when you do it. So if you're going to try to do an internship over the summer, you got to make sure you can live in the city or place where that internship takes place. Some of you may decide to do it at home where you have grown up. Some of you may decide to do it here in Cleveland County somewhere. But you've got to decide where and when you want to do that before you start searching, because that dictates a lot of the things you'll do. We already talked about how your faculty members have sort of a network of pipelines. So let's talk now about the actual search tools at your fingertips. So the easiest one to find is WebWorks, which is the Gardner-Webb version of Handshake, which Handshake is the largest student to employer job management site in the world. So it's like LinkedIn for college students, and you need to be using Handshake. In our office, we send out emails and post things on Instagram all the time, encouraging students to go out to Handshake. We do our virtual fairs through Handshake. There's a number of other events we do through Handshake on a regular basis. This is your main professional profile search and management tool. And so the great thing about Handshake, it works like all the other job sites. You can search for jobs by title, by keyword, and of course internships, because it's a primarily employer to college student platform. Handshake is full of internship opportunities, and many of those right now are remote opportunities. So again, if you're thinking about where you're going to live, if you get a remote internship, it doesn't matter, because you can do that from anywhere as long as you have the internet. So again, think about that. We'll talk some more about that in a few minutes. But other job search sites. So again, I would suggest you don't go out and just Google search internship opportunities, because a lot of junk will come up. But the easiest sites to use are Indeed, Glassdoor, and LinkedIn. And you could also use ZipRecruiter. But these are all in addition to Handshake. You start with WebWorks. You start with Handshake using this one here at Gardner-Webb, because that's where companies are specifically listing internships for Gardner-Webb students. So you want to know that they're out there targeting you. That's the best place to find them. And so again, Handshake, very easy to use. It's listed in Web Connect as WebWorks. You can click on it on that left-hand side menu. But the other job search sites like Indeed, Glassdoor, LinkedIn, ZipRecruiter, these things are a two-way street. So when you first create an account, they ask you to create and max out a profile. So you provide a bunch of information, usually including your resume or the information off of your resume, to them to help recruiters find you. And this is so important, because even though you're out there searching, it makes life a lot easier if you've got somebody out there also searching for you. So an easy way to do this is to make sure that you provided all the information you can in those profiles on those sites when you set up the account, so that you're getting all the information out there so a recruiter can find you easily when they do a search, when they work on trying to fill positions. And many recruiters treat internships just like they do in regular employment. They're trying to fill those spaces with qualified people. So you want to have a profile that conveys not only that you're here and that you're alive and you're available, but that you're highly qualified for that. And again, our office can help you do that. We can also help you get a headshot so your LinkedIn profile looks good. But if you are using sites online to search for internships, Indeed, Glassdoor, LinkedIn, ZipRecruiter, probably your top sites after Handshake. So you want to make sure that you're making note of those and that you have profiles on all those, because again, you're going to use these same sites when you go out to search for a job after graduation. So it's so important to make sure that these are something you understand how to use now. And again, our office can help you practice that. Another great way to search is a targeted online search. So let's say that there's a company that you know has a great internship program or that you'd love to intern for, and you don't know exactly what's offered right now. Well, go to that company's main homepage, go to their website. And when you go to their website, make sure that when you're on that site, you're looking for their employment or HR human resources page. Because most of these large companies, in addition to using sites like Indeed, Glassdoor, and LinkedIn, they list internship programs as employment, or they have a separate section on their website for internships. I looked at this yesterday with a student who was wanting to find a summer internship, and we went to this particular company they knew about. They had a whole section on their website about their interns, about stories of success for their interns, how you apply, the things you need to do to make yourself highly qualified. So a lot of companies, especially larger companies, are going to help you do that. So when you think about internships in the industry you want to work in, larger companies usually have the better programs. So in North Carolina, one of the best ones we know about is in banking. If you're going to work in the financial industry and banking, Wells Fargo in Charlotte has a huge internship program. They bring 400 interns from all over the country every summer to Charlotte. And most of these get offered a job. We've had some students that have gone through that recently and been offered jobs through that internship experience. So you can, again, target a company that way. But you can also do some geographic search, and we'll talk about that some more too. But when you go to our website on Gardner Webb's homepage, the Center for Personal and Professional Development site, we've got a full list of job search sites that include internships out there. So that's, again, if you're going to be searching online, you've got to be using these sites and using them the right way. In addition to that part of the search, let me just mention that you should also be attending our virtual, this is actually coming up. There's several of these coming up soon, but we have a virtual internship fair every fall. This one will be October 28th. We have to do it virtually, obviously, because of COVID. We've been sending out emails and information about that. We'll have employers on Handshake that day participating in that, looking to specifically hire a Gardner Webb student for their internship. So you don't want to miss that. Next week, we just sent out an information email this morning about this, and we've been pushing it hard on both email and Instagram for the past few weeks. Gardner Webb's partnering with UNC Charlotte and 11 other schools to provide a large virtual both job and internship fair next Thursday and Friday online. The details have gone out for that. If you missed it, email me and I'll send you those. But again, it's important to make sure that you're using those opportunities. Those are also places where Gardner Webb students find internships, not just searching online and not just through their faculty. When we think about our network, the networking is such an important part of the job search process, the internship search process. We want to be practicing great networking behaviors and skills while we're doing this. So again, one of the easiest things to do is to start with your faculty and make sure that everybody in your department knows, one, that you're looking for a particular internship and what you're looking for. As a part of that too, connecting with other students, like I mentioned earlier, who have already done an internship ahead of you, that's such a great resource for you to find out more about it and really to stay in their network. They may have an inroad to recommend you to an employer because they had such a great experience. You can do a lot of this networking through LinkedIn. If you go to Gardner Webb's career site on LinkedIn. So our career office, GW Career, has a LinkedIn page. You can connect with thousands of Gardner Webb students and alumni and all sorts of employees out there who are looking for Gardner Webb students. So going out to LinkedIn and connecting with our page opens up a door to a ton more connections that you can use. And again, these are really important. During a normal school year, we obviously don't do it this year with COVID, or at least this semester. We have networking events the university provides in conjunction with local employers. And so we do those to give you an opportunity to physically network in a space with employers. And a lot of times, again, students find out about internships that way. Another big thing you can be doing when you're on LinkedIn is if you know of companies you want to connect with. So for instance, if you've created a LinkedIn account, you could go out to my LinkedIn account, Micah Martin, or the Gardner Webb GW Careers LinkedIn account. And you can see all of our connections. Once you connect with me, now you can see and have access to all my connections. And you should start connecting with every person there that's either in an industry you're interested in interning in, or a recruiter for a company that's in one of those industries. And the great thing is you can direct message them just like you can on any other platform, and send them sort of a direct message, a quick email that explains what you're trying to do. You can upload your resume there. You can get them to pay attention to you, get on their radar through those connections. So again, if you're just getting started with LinkedIn and searching, use us as a resource, as a springboard for that. So connecting with all of our connections that fit the industry you're interested in. But again, you can search by industry on all those search sites. And a lot of times, like I mentioned earlier, if you're doing a direct or a targeted online search where you found a company and you're going to their website, usually there's an HR email where you can connect with somebody, a real person, about employment with that company or internship contact information. So again, use those if you have access to those and find those helpful. I think it's important to tell everybody you know what you're looking for. Let them join your networking team by being in the know about the things that you are interested in doing, what you're looking for. But the ball is in your court. You've got to follow up. You've got to chase down these employers. You've got to apply. You've got to follow up and make sure that you're making a great connection and staying on their radar to ensure you get hired for the position you want. If you're thinking about doing an internship in your hometown, you already have a great network there. So if you're planning to be at home over the summer and do that internship, you need to be networking with those folks now to find that internship opportunity and make sure that everybody you know there, from people in your home church to your family to coaches to teachers to people that you went to high school with, anybody in that hometown area that may have a connection to an internship or to a company, you're connecting with them. This networking piece is so important. 80+% of Gardner-Webb students upon graduation get their first job through a relationship with somebody in their network, not through a job they just found randomly on a search site. So think about how important these relationships are. Your faculty, again, are key to helping you develop those. So let's talk about some specifics when we start applying for internships. So we've talked a lot about searching. And again, searching is a lot easier than we think. But the next step now is to actually apply and follow through. I just met with a student yesterday. I've talked to this student many times about applying and following through with an internship. And they're just kind of putting it on the back burner. Well, they're going to have a tough reality during their last semester if they're hunting for an internship and trying to graduate at the same time and struggling to find one. So this is really important. So we want to make sure that when we find an internship that we want to apply for, that we follow all those directions and deadlines perfectly. We want to look qualified and detailed, and we want to make sure that we make it easy for them to hire us. So they'll spell out what they want you to do and what they need from you. If they ask for a resume and they ask for a cover letter, you don't need to say, do they want a cover letter? Yes, they asked for a cover letter, so let's provide a cover letter. Make sure that you're reading job descriptions for internships just like you would for regular employment, and make sure that your qualifications match the things they're looking for. It's a terrible experience for a student to sort of fake it till you make it and get in an internship situation and not be qualified for it. Employers are not happy about that. It means they have to do a lot more training. So you want to make sure that you understand things like the dress code, the time commitment, the schedule of work, whether or not you're going to be compensated, and if you are, how much. And again, if you need help with these things, ask us or ask the employer for that information as well. Once you apply, follow up by email or phone to make sure they've gotten everything they need from you, so there's no question that you've done everything on your part to be a good candidate for that position. And then stay on top of it. You got to check your email and your voicemail regularly. You got to make sure that you have a voicemail set up. But checking your email is a normal professional behavior you should be doing every day anyway. So I would say make sure you're doing that, because if you're expecting a response, then you want to be the first person to pounce on that and to return that emails or to reply back so that you can accept a position or answer any questions during that search process as you have them. You need to be practicing for your interview. And again, I talked about this earlier, but once you do an interview, they may not tell you on the spot that you've got the job. So you want to follow up after that interview, probably about a week out, to make sure that you're staying tied in with that particular company and opportunity. Before you accept any position, you've got to make sure that you get all the expectations in writing, and that's why most of your departments have that contractual agreement that you'll have that spells those out. But most of you will also have to have your department, your faculty advisor, or your department chair or dean approve your experience and then get you registered for the course that gives you the credit hours you need, so the internship course in your major. So you want to make sure that you've done that. And if they do have an internship agreement, like a contract, that you've gotten that signed and returned to whoever it goes to, whether most of the time it will be your faculty advisor. So important stuff there. So when you do go into an internship interview, you can see this person right here. This young lady is not dressed for the interview. She's got on a hoodie. And this is not how you want to look in an interview. You want to dress professionally, just like you would for any other interview. Treat this like a professional experience. from start to finish. But they're going to ask you questions just like they would in any interview, but a lot of times they're going to also ask you some very specific questions about the internship. You want to be able to answer these. So we've got a module online that helps you prepare for interviews, and a number of tools out there that if you want me to shoot them to you in an email, I can. But they're going to ask you things about, like, why are you interested in this internship and this field, this company, this type of work? And you need to have a great answer for that, a passionate answer, an enthusiastic answer, an answer that sounds like you know what you're talking about and you're well prepared for it. And both our office and your academic advisor can help you do that, as well as other students who have already been in those roles. They're going to ask you about your strengths and weaknesses, and we addressed that in our interview workshop last week, and there's information that we can provide there to help you with that. They may ask you about your academic program, your major, things that you're most proud of or that you see as big successes up to this point. Be ready to answer those type of things well. And again, our internship resources can help you do that. So once you accept your internship position, you need to really thrive there. Okay, so it's not just about landing one, it's about landing the right one that's going to set you up for success. And we talked earlier about all those benefits of an internship, but you want to make sure you're getting all those benefits. You want to make sure that you're getting the skills and knowledge that add to what you're getting in the classroom at Gardner-Webb. Let's say you're a computer science major and you're not getting a whole lot of coding experience. You want to make sure that that internship is giving you more of that experience you're looking for the real world. And you want to really treat this like such a special experience, because it could set the course for so many things. So own it and be so good that they can't ignore you. Make sure that you're doing the things that keep you on their radar and that maybe hopefully will make them choose you as an employee to offer a particular job to. So always exceed their expectations. Make sure that you're going above and beyond, that you're doing all those things you can to be clear about the work they're asking you to do, and that you're responding appropriately for that. Be helpful, be dependable. One of the number one things that companies look for is positivity and enthusiasm. So try to make sure that you always keep that frame of mind, that you're not negative. And when given the opportunity to learn, if they ask you, hey, can you help us with this? Take every opportunity when they're asking you to participate in something as a learning experience that's going to prepare you for future work in that field, and give you more information to help you, be the most effective you can be in that job. Make sure that you're asking questions as a part of that too. If there are things that you feel like you're not understanding or that you need more experience with to do those jobs well, make sure, just like you would in a real employment situation, ask for those so that everything stays good with that employer. Build relationships. I mean, some of these people you're going to intern with may be offering you a job one day. They're going to be your supervisors, your coworkers, people that are mentoring you. Make sure that you're leaning into that and encouraging those relationships and being grateful for those. Learn everything you can about the industry. I mean, ask people for advice. Ask them, why did they choose this particular career? How long have they been with the company? Why do they still do what they do? Ask them or recommendations of things that they think you should add to your portfolio, or skill sets and knowledge bases you might need to be even more successful in that particular realm. When given work, make sure that you're asking for deadlines and always complete your assignments ahead. Be such a great employee. If you need clarity on something or assistance, make sure you ask for it. I can tell you, as somebody who's employed a lot of people over the years, I do not like it when the people that I supervise are trying to wing it and don't feel comfortable coming and asking me about something because they think it makes them look ignorant or that they don't understand the job. Make sure that you are asking for clarity and assistance when you need it. And then after you submit work or while you're doing your work, ask about your performance. Ask for feedback from those people that are supervising you and those peers that you work with, or people that are on that team. Ask for feedback so that you can continue to grow in that profession and become even better and more effective at it. And it's important too with that to make sure you're taking time to reflect. And because your internship is an academic experience, you're going to often be asked to reflect and write journals and sort of keep information in a log about your experience that you and your faculty advisor will use to make sure that you are learning through that. Make sure too with that company, inquire about future opportunities. Don't hold back asking the question at some point, hey, do you think there might be a place here for me down the road if it's a place you really want to work? So after that internship experience is over, stay tied in with those folks, not only for a great reference, but also for future employment opportunities. And once you complete an internship, you don't ghost them. You stay in touch with them, because again, this could lead to future employment either there or through a network of people you've met there. You're going to have great references through that. So make sure you're thankful for that and let them know. It's really important, I think, to send a thank you note to everybody that contributed to your success while you were there. So if you do this over a semester or a summer, this has been several months that you will have spent working under these people's supervision and learning from them, being a part of that team. Make sure that you're thanking them for that experience and doing it in a very professional way. This says a lot about how you are remembered when you leave an opportunity to leave it well, because you never know what might be needed there in the future, and you don't want to burn any of those bridges. So, okay, I'll stop talking right there. Any questions about this? I've shared a lot of stuff here. If you'll put your email address for me in the chat, I'll send you this PowerPoint as well as a number of other resources about internships. But what questions do you want to ask? You can just unmute and ask if you have questions.
Yes, hello, Micah. I have a question regarding the cover letter.
Yes.
Where can I get more information about that?
Well, there's information on our website. I can send you a link to that, but I'll tell you real quickly about cover letters. So we cover cover letters in our resume workshop. So I'll send you some links that'll take you to some the online versions of those that you can use it. But here's the big thing you're doing in a cover letter. So your cover letter, even though it's a formality, you'll still have companies actually ask for those, even though a lot of companies don't read the cover letter, which kind of stinks because you've spent a lot of time getting ready for it and preparing for it. And you know, writing it, editing it, getting other people to look at it. But the big thing you're trying to communicate in a cover letter is an introduction, a brief introduction to why you're the most qualified candidate. So there's really three things you should cover there. And I think about a cover letter, let's say it covers 2/3 of a page. You don't want a full page, that's too long. 2/3 of a page max. You're going to talk about where you've been. So you're introducing yourself, talking about where you've been. You're going to talk to them about the present. Why am I talking to you now? What am I applying for? Why am I the most qualified candidate? And then why is this opportunity a bridge to my future? So you don't want to talk about it in the sense of this job as a stepping stone, but maybe talk about it in a passionate sense that you know this particular role will be vital to your future in that field and a growing career there. So three things you try to cover there is where you've been, sort of in your introduction, this is where I'm coming from. Maybe you highlight some things from your resume there as to why you're the most qualified candidate for that position, and then you talk about why this position is so important to propel you forward into what you're going into next. And our office is fine to proofread those for you. The Writing Center here on campus can do that as well. There's some templates that are out on our website too that you'll see. I can send you links to those. But the big thing there is you're writing a formal professional letter, and for many of you, it's the first real introduction they'll ever have from you to the people in those hiring positions. So you take it seriously, even though they may not be read. You know, if they ask for one, you make sure that you submit it. That help?
Yes, thank you so much.
Other questions? Anything else y'all want to ask?
Is it too early to think about internships as a freshman?
It's not. I think, again, that's where you need to talk with your faculty advisor about when they see most of the students in their department completing that internship. And again, we'll have students that they'll do 2-3 internships because they know that these are vital for their future. And we've got students that have done one and said, that was terrible. I don't ever want to do that again, but I need to do another one just because I need experience in another realm of that industry that I've learned about. Like I mentioned earlier about the student who does not want to do tax preparation as an accountant. They still wanted to learn about being a CPA. So they went and interned the following summer at a CPA firm in Raleigh to get a different experience that still tied in with their major, even though their first experience had met that requirement. Some majors do ask you to or expect you to do it during a particular semester that follows a particular sort of sequence of courses. So again, starting with your faculty advisor, I think is really important. But we do have freshmen that do internships in their first summer after that first year of college, and I don't think that's a bad thing. But definitely by your junior and senior year, you've got to be serious about landing one because they're just so vital to what's next. So again, start with your faculty advisor to get some advice on when they would expect you to do it, in any hesitation they might have, reservations, that sort of thing. What else? All right. Well, what I'm gonna do for those of you that put your email in the chat feature, I will pull those up and email you some resources later this morning after we get off of this call. Anytime you have questions for us here, the easiest way to get in touch with us is just the word career@gardner-webb.edu. We're here to help you any way we can. Again, we don't have a list of internships in our office that we can just hand you, but we can, again, walk you through a lot of these tools and how to use them so that you can be searching for those. And again, anytime we get wind of things that match your major, we send them directly to your faculty so that they can quickly share them with you and help you figure out if those are a good fit for you. So use us as a resource. Okay, well, I'm going to end the call there. Thank you for being here with us this morning.
Thank you.
And we will talk to you soon.